KELOLAND Digital Desk, I'm meteorologist Scot and Mundt as we begin another edition of Weather or Not. We've had the heat, and the heat will continue. We're looking at temperatures 80s, 90s, easily for the next 2-3 days for some of us. And then we'll watch some changes move in from the west, starting across western South Dakota on Saturday, eventually moving into eastern, southeastern KELOLAND as we do get into Sunday. And as all this happens, we'll have strong wind, high fire danger because it has been so dry lately. Let's go ahead and check the outline for you as we are looking at, well, the heat that I talked about, followed by the cooler weather and the wind sandwiched in between everything. Our pattern, things do start to change as we do get into the middle of the month, and that almost goes hand in hand with our snow trend. But as I mentioned for today, we'll continue with our heat. This is Futurecast this afternoon. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, highs in the 80s and 90s, and I think we'll have widespread 90s for tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. But the winds will be stronger from the south. I would say at least 15 to 30 miles per hour with the occasional higher gust. Notice as we slowly start to break things down across western South Dakota, it tries to bring in some rain chances in western KELOLAND with showers, thunderstorms that can develop Friday night. More so, I think, during the day on Saturday. And also notice how it's trying to bring some of those in central and north central South Dakota, where we actually have a chance, a marginal risk for severe weather. That's a day 3 outlook. So that takes us out to Saturday with that marginal risk for severe weather. Our forecast for today, we'll have temperatures in the 80s and 90s, mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, as we'll have light southerly winds in central and eastern KELOLAND. Winds will be a little stronger in the western South Dakota, coming in around 15 to 25 miles per hour. And temperatures tonight, underneath mostly clear skies, will fall close to 60 degrees. We have plenty to talk about on this latest edition of Weather or Not. Stick with us. Well, Brian, we have heat, we have cooler temperatures, and we have a lot of wind coming.
Sounds like the change of the seasons.
It does.
Little tug of war back and forth. That's okay. That's the way it should be, right?
Be. Tried to beat you to it, but
we're not supposed to stay 90 degrees
as
or 80 or whatever in the way above normal this long. It seems like quite a stretch, hasn't it?
We've had, I think, 10 days, 11 days now with above average temperatures for highs in Sioux Falls. So that will, with the forecast, that takes us through Sunday, depending on what happens on Monday, how cool we get on Monday. So we could have about a 2-week stretch with these above average highs. And if we don't cool below average early next week, it will just continue because we are expected to warm slowly as we see temperatures back to the 70s, even after day 7.
Right. 70s now are above normal.
That will feel cool. Or can I say chilly for 70s?
I think 70s are still just nice, mild. So, yeah, we've got a long way to go just to get us back pulling the other direction. But we're going to start the process this weekend, aren't we?
That we are. Let's go ahead. I put this outline together. I meant to show it on KELOLAND this morning. We'll probably put it on KELOLAND this morning for tomorrow. But we have a lot going on, it seems like, over the next, I would say, week to 2 weeks. Near record high temperatures today, tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think we'll have widespread 90s across KELOLAND. Mm-hmm. And then you could even throw in Saturday for at least eastern and southeastern KELOLAND, that strong south wind. Temperatures will reach the 90s. We'll continue with strong wind, high fire danger. That is something that you've been talking about through this weekend. High rain chance across western South Dakota. They probably have the highest rain chance out of anybody. Northwestern KELOLAND. That's late in the day, Saturday, going into Sunday morning. Much cooler temperatures. That comes in Monday, and then we'll see if we get a frost or freeze to go. That may happen by the middle of the month. We're still looking at that colder air, the second shot of the colder air to come down around the middle of the month.
Right, and that's where a lot of homework still needs to be done on that subject. And this is very typical. So when we start talking about that subject, just remember that each day that conversation looks different because the modeling can't quite grasp how to handle that. And there are so many pieces to this. Even during the show, I remember we showed one segment where, and I said, well, yeah, it's in left field, and that's fine. But the hurricane activity off of Baja California, okay, we're talking the Eastern Pacific, not the Atlantic Basin, okay. The European model latched onto some moisture there yesterday and tried to scoot that to the north. Possible. It could happen. I think that's, something that's very much in the, okay, we'll wait and see. But think about it for a moment. You've got that on one side of the equation, and then you've got these pushes of Canadian, the really colder air.
As it should.
Trying to push south, but it'll change days. It'll change magnitude on how much. So I think the bottom line, though, is that it is going to happen. We're going to see some colder air coming in mid-month. It's just a matter of how long. And, even this morning, I'm sure we'll get to the snow forecast. Are we going to do that today?
Oh, yes, we will. Looking
just
more
wait, folks. To wait. Don't go anywhere.
We save that for the end. We want to keep people around.
Yeah, but today was quite a surprise, actually. So,
and you made the comment that, yes, it will change day to day. And it's funny when we look at these forecast models, especially the long-range stuff, it throws something in. Oh, this is looking interesting. Chance for precipitation, we'll call it. The next day we come in, oh, no, took it out. The next day, oh, we'll throw it back in.
Yep.
It tends to do that, like you say, that tug of war of throwing this stuff in, taking it out, throwing it in, taking it out. And then our job is to figure out, okay, well, what's the trend been with this?
Right.
What's going on as we continue to go through the month of October? What should typically happen? We have to sort all these things out and come up with a forecast, come up with, a long-range forecast, a weather trend that we've seen before over past years. That helps.
Yep. And so as we lock in on the particulars, we'll be able to, grasp more of the details here as we go forward. But I do think that, just getting us to correct to normal will help us because modeling does not like dealing with such high anomalies. We're so far outside the normal operating range that the mechanics of the models...
It gets confused.
Well, it's not only that, but it's also the transition of the seasons.
right.
That's always another trouble source when you change gears from one season to the next. Now, the one that goes from summer to fall is probably not as bad, in my opinion. It's always the ones winter to spring. That one we always have. The models never get that right. But anyway, just for today's sake. Now, this is interesting. You've stacked up past years with heat.
Yeah, we're looking over these next 3 days, getting Sioux Falls temperature in the top 5. And as we look at these, today being the 2nd, and then tomorrow, and then Saturday the 4th, lined up the top 5 for hottest days during that time period. And our forecast, we have temperatures in the lower 90s. So for today, if we hit 90, that ties us for the 3rd hottest on October 2nd. If we hit 92, we've been advertising record highs for Friday anyway. So if we hit 92, that is our new record. The existing record is 89. And then for the 4th, on Saturday, we warmed it to 90. May have to warm it even a little more. And if we warm it a little more, we're looking at that record high of 92 on the 4th, which is Saturday for Sioux Falls. So we'll easily end up in the top 5 for the next 3 days. Yesterday was a little cooler. I think we hit, 84 for a high?
Yep.
So it was a nice cool down.
Yeah, cool down.
And
it rained a little bit in the morning, too, west of Sioux Falls, but did not reach, I would argue, the most parched areas of southeast South Dakota. Can I raise my hand? I think I live in the epicenter of that.
Well, when you look at the drought monitor, I don't think we've shown the drought monitor since maybe I had it on Monday, but we do have that category of dry, southern Sioux Falls, right over your house.
I dug potatoes yesterday, Scott, and when I dug them out of the ground, you put your hand in the dirt, you go down about 6 inches, maybe a little bit more, and there's no moisture in that at all, and those potatoes were just as clean as could be.
Well, that's good.
Well, you're right. I mean, it's not my typical, usually when I'm digging out potatoes, you got some mud or a little moisture, that adheres to the side. But no, these potatoes are just dry. But we're thankful we have them to dig. I mean, that's a good thing. But it just illustrates how dry it has become for some of us. Now, many of you watching, different story. It's been nice to get some dry weather the last few days. I know that's
Central,
true.
North Central South Dakota, they just got done with their wettest Septembers.
Yep.
While we've had I want to say our fourth driest in Sioux Falls, just under a quarter of an inch.
Yeah, pretty rough. And that's, a quarter inch of rain, that doesn't really go too far when you're, especially with these kind of temperatures
Heat that we're having.
And then you've got Southwest South Dakota. We're talking fire weather watch tomorrow. I do have a graphic on that as we're kind of looking at the western plains of South Dakota. And this is out of the Weather Service office in Rapid City. So please pay attention to that because with the fall and its normal course of action, everything is drying out or, grasses are starting to go dormant. We're all witnessing that very, very quickly. It's amazing how fast the environment changes. Goes from green to brown and a lot of that now these days. Now, could we catch some rain Saturday night and maybe a couple of stronger storms? Well, the Storm Prediction Center painted a risk map here. It goes from about North Platte, Nebraska, on up to Pierre. It does include Huron, Aberdeen. It does not include Sioux Falls. And at this time, I don't see any evidence to support severe weather that far east. But if you're in the middle of that green, yes, keep an eye on the weather conditions. There could be a couple of storms. And the rain chance, I know, Scott, you'll expand more on this, but the best chances of more widespread rain will be on the backside of the low from the Black Hills up toward Bismarck. So connecting the dots there, and that could be another, I would say, a pretty decent shot at rain.
Yeah, we'll watch that as we do go through the weekend. Here's another graphic to better illustrate that for this weekend. Things will start across western South Dakota, especially later in the day on Saturday. We could have a couple of areas with some rain during the morning hours for Saturday, but I think more widespread rain expected during the late afternoon, evening, and overnight. Went ahead and labeled best chance for rain western, northwestern South Dakota, just that slight chance in the east. We have it at 20%, eastern, southeastern, KELOLAND, with our rain chance. And then right in the middle, we'll go anywhere from 30, 50% chance for rain. Again, the highest total there between 60 and 90. A lot of that found across northwestern South Dakota into north central South Dakota. And again, it's those same areas, north central South Dakota, Mobridge, getting in on some of the highest chances we have at seeing rain for this weekend. So we'll have that move through. You mentioned the possibility for severe weather. And I do have a wind graphic, too, as we go into tomorrow. So we'll have our southerly winds back. Not as strong today, but stronger southerly winds for tomorrow. That will help keep this heat around. We'll have widespread 90s. And then notice how things do change on Saturday. We'll have strong southerly winds across eastern KELOLAND. It's signifying some of these wind gusts of 40 miles per hour or more. Okay, and that's the reason why I would not be surprised to see these numbers back to the lower 90s in the east and southeast, starting to change direction across western South Dakota. As that front moves to the east, we'll eventually see northwest winds help bring in the cooler air. Sunday's looking cooler, and when compared to Saturday in eastern and southeastern KELOLAND. And then that cooling trend will continue as we get into Sunday night, Monday morning. We'll watch those temperatures for overnight lows. Right now, probably fall to the middle 40s. That's what we have in our forecast. We'll see how cool we get. By the time we do get into Monday, maybe even a little cooler Tuesday morning.
Yeah, definitely cooling off next week, and that's a big part of the forecast. So hopefully a correction to near normal is a good start, and Rapid City probably below normal for Sunday, maybe Monday too. So that's interesting to switch that up.
First push. I try to combine those words. First push of cold air. It's the second one we'll have to watch too.
The second one
still being worked out.
Always more interesting in my opinion. So
especially when you go through the month of October.
Yeah. We're due for more changes, aren't we?
That we are, and we'll talk more about that with our weather pattern coming up. Stay with us. You're watching Weather or Not. Time to look at the pattern, and we are looking at some changes coming through. Let's go ahead and bring up the 500 millibar pattern. This is where we follow low pressure systems, high pressure systems, troughs, and ridges in the atmosphere. And with that high pressure anchored to our south, that will help us slowly warm as we go through next week after we have this cool down. Now, don't expect these temperatures to soar back to the 80s and 90s next week. They will return above average. We'll get these numbers probably into the 70s. We'll see how many of us return to maybe some 80s as we go through next week. But we'll change our mode here. As we do get into that second week of the month, we'll eventually have a couple of areas of low pressure that will move through. Now, this is going into next weekend. We could have low pressure try to come in from the southwest, and as it moves along the border there of Canada, we'll be on the backside of that, maybe get a reinforcing shot of another low-pressure system, the main parent low that's well into Canada, and a couple of those just circle around it. And as that happens, that will help bring in colder air that we'll have to watch as we get into maybe the middle of the month. We'll see how quickly that comes in. It can come in that second weekend of the month. That's what things were suggesting earlier in the week. Mm-hmm. The timing of this still needs to be worked out.
Yeah, timing is one issue, but just the mechanics of having a large Hudson Bay low sitting up there to our north, Scott.
Term we use in the winter more often.
Yeah, well, and for what it's worth, the position of that low and the way that you drew that out, you had actually a couple of satellite lobes that came around that.
Swinging around that parent low. Mm-hmm.
That tells you there's some evidence of some fairly strong features there. The question is, as you mentioned, it's how this all formulates on the timeline. So we feel pretty good about this first installment. This is the one that kicks out this extremely warm weather for early October. So here it comes. We get into Sunday and Monday, and you'll see those color replacements, even a little bit of below normal weather. By the way, too, we haven't talked about this a lot. I know this morning on television we kind of stopped at, Monday, Tuesday, but Wednesday morning, there could be a sneaky frost that comes in here, especially in Minnesota. I was looking at the parameters on that to hear the brand new data, and lows in the mid-30s probably. Okay. Wilmer, even Sioux Falls, a couple of the projections were close to 39 or 40, and that's, depends on the wind. If we clear out, we get a high-pressure center that noses in after all of this. The front moves through, does its job on Sunday and Monday, possibility midweek. But having said that, there's also other pieces of data that are really quick to return some milder weather next week. So I fully expect we're going to see 70s, given as dry as the ground is around Sioux Falls. It's not even going to surprise me if it hits 80 again in that pattern.
We had that 20% chance for something in Sioux Falls. So that tells me, mostly dry skies. I know Melanie talked to me about doing some outside work this weekend and said, well, it's going to rain. I said, whoa, hold on. Western South Dakota is a pretty good chance for the rain. Mm-hmm. Here in the east and southeast, right now, I just want to count on it.
Yeah, I would not cancel your plans or anything like that based on rain in Sioux Falls at least. But we got it tomorrow yet. We kind of watch and see if anything starts to change a little bit. But, going back to those maps on the temperature trends, so you see how we mix a little bit of the orange and the blue across the upper Midwest. So, you kind of look at that, and yes, there's going to be a little tug back and forth, but it's closer to normal. The baseline that we move off of has lowered a lot. Mm-hmm. So instead of pivoting around 80 or 85 plus or minus, now we're going to be pivoting closer to probably 65 to 70, which is normal. So we'll have some above days. We'll have some below days. See, there's another one. See, that Friday of next week, that's pretty warm again.
I mean, that could be a return to the 80s that you mentioned.
Yep.
There is some data suggesting that, too.
Yeah. But see, that's the expectation ahead of front number 2. I would fully anticipate there should be some sort of warm-up, and then you let it drop. But do we let it drop on the 12th of October, or is that going to be the 14th of October? We don't know
After
yet.
The weekend, does the weekend stay warm? So the timing needs to be worked out.
Yeah, it's not there yet. But boy, oh boy, this is one run of the European model.
And then that wants to stick around.
Look at that. That air in Montana, that is cold. This is not just your little fall front here. There's more to this. I think you have a graphic or two you're probably going to share in a minute.
Yeah, we'll see how much time do we got. We got about 7-8 minutes left. But I do want to kind of piggyback off you. And here's a look at the AI version of temperatures. Okay, I have it highlighted. I know it's hard to see. I have it highlighted here. That's a 41, and that's your Wednesday morning.
Okay, yep.
That you mentioned. We could get another sneaky, cool hit of air for Wednesday morning. Okay, let's go out. As we go to the right here, we're going into this weekend. The coldest temperature I see is 30. That may happen on Sunday morning. Okay, but notice here, and it's, goes along with the colors too. Once we get into this weekend, there's a high of 70 on Friday. Once we get into this weekend, there's a high of 52, 53, 56, 51, 52, and then we get maybe back to the 60s as we get into maybe the 15th. So the AI version brings in this cold air for the weekend, and then it wants to stick around.
Yes.
We're not used to temperatures like that.
And it's interesting that you brought this up because, okay, setting the numbers aside, when I look at this graphic here, the first thing I see on the left-hand side of the screen, you see there's organized columns of red and orange. And do you notice that they go from top to bottom? Okay, what that means is that the model has been very consistent from a week ago. This goes back to earlier in the week. We'll just say that, right? 5 days or so. That's to be technical about it. So here we are on a Thursday. So I guess it technically goes back to on Monday or Tuesday or so in there. But it has at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 runs.
Yes.
So that's a lot. That's every time the model had to crunch the data 11 times in a row, and it says, yep, same thing. Then you look out where we're at on the other side of the screen, where it's more blue and purple, and it's been signaling these cold air shots at different points, but every model run, there's a couple of them at the beginning that weren't so cool, but generally speaking, they land on below normal temperatures.
Yeah, it's going that way. The
Yeah.
trend is for it to go that way.
Yeah, and that's an interesting trend. I think that's of value to us as we kind of think about the forecast, and that's another way that we as meteorologists kind of interpolate that data and looking at that. But I think you're going to see more of those things in the next couple of days. So let these model runs kind of sift through. Each one of them will look different. That's what we expect.
Okay, we got some time left. Let's go ahead and play this out. Oh, I need to hit this button.
Uh-oh. They're back. your fan club,
Scott?
That's
my fan club. That's okay. I have to boo at somebody. Might as well boo at me. Next 14 days. Now, this is heavily weighted to that colder air that's coming in the middle of the month. Okay,
right.
Those below average temperatures that you showed around the middle of the month, whether it comes in, like you said, the 14th, the 12th, that's up for debate. But it's interesting, as you mentioned, too, we were talking about, that tropical activity coming in from the southwest. And
right.
That moisture tried to meet up with this cold air that's expected to come down, the second week, toward the end of the second week of the month, that it's spitting out some snow.
Well, it is. And that's the first time
that we've seen something like this as widespread.
Yeah, this was
in KELOLAND, in the Upper Plains. It stretches into North Dakota, northern Minnesota.
Yeah, so it adds a little more evidence to something that's trying to brew. Now, a lot of times when you talk about snow forecasts at 14 days out, I mean, we're dealing with a lot of unknowns. But the point of the matter is the fact that it sends a signal. It says, okay, not only does it have some colder air to work with, it actually tries to spin up a storm system that can produce some snow. And it snows in the Rockies. It is snowing in Canada. So the atmosphere is definitely cooling. We are changing gears. And so that's what's of interest. And even beyond this conversation, Scott, I noticed this morning on the extended European model, which is the one that sometimes we'll show the little chart that has all the
45-day.
The 45-day one.
See if I can bring that one up.
And you know, it changes too every day. But boy, it was a little more bullish today into November. But look at that. I mean, you've got even the first landings of snow, the first bar, the ones that are farthest that extend to the left the most. That's right there with what we just showed. You know, middle of the month here.
Around
Most of them are way out there, though.
Yeah, right. And looking at that and keeping that trend going, I'm glad you brought that up. We've been looking at this since the 16th of September. And I went ahead and put an average in there. And usually I've been bringing up, my Excel sheet and doing a snapshot of that and put it on here. But let's just go ahead and do the average because we continue to add days and columns. The new numbers listed on top, and then followed by the average listed right below it. And this takes us out through the 10th, 20th, and 30th of October. Will we have measurable snow by then? And just think of it as a percentage because we're looking at 100 different members here. So just think of it as a percentage. Less than 1% chance before the 10th. Well, we know the heat that will be around, even though we do cool. We don't cool enough. And then we go up to 7% around, before the 20th. And then maybe 1 in 4 chance there before the 30th. But, of course, Rapid City is a lot higher.
That's a lot higher.
That's
83% chance of snow.
Those numbers. And for today's run, look how much above they are of the average for Rapid City. 37 members compared to the average of 23 for something measurable before the 10th. And then a big difference there before the 20th and before the 30th. 90 of 100.
So the data is pulling, isn't it now? It's going the other way. It's getting more bullish on that. And, well, it makes sense. I think rapid, and we know that to be true a lot of years anyway. You'll end up with the colder air that'll come through and come out of the northwest like that. So, yep, just keep watching the fronts because I think our time will
limited.
Soon.
You know what else is limited on time? The bugs.
I hope so. They're not very friendly. I can't say I was. Well, they weren't horrible yesterday in the garden. They were around, but it is what it is.
Did you get those pirate ones on you?
No, I didn't. Just the Asian lady beetles. They were out again. They're always out, but
I went outside. I could not have been outside more than 30 seconds. Right there.
Right there. I wonder if they've gone into Sioux Falls because where I'm at, I mean, we just don't have much at all for vegetation. I mean, it's gotten so dry. There's I would think they would probably feast more in a little more of a greener area, and that would be the middle.
Off me.
Yeah, you don't want them, I know. But best of luck to you as you're finishing your painting projects.
Oh, I know. That's okay. It needs to be done. That's our time for this latest edition of Whether or Not. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.